Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to, cut through the noise and get straight to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Ever feel just stuck, like
Yeah,
buried under a mountain of ideas, tasks, projects?
like absolutely.
Yeah, that decision paralysis thing, where
Yeah.
everything feels super urgent and you're just frozen,
Yeah.
wondering where to even start. It happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
Big projects, even just your daily to-do list.
It's a universal feeling, I think.
Totally. So today, we're going to dive deep into something that can really help with that. It's a tool called the MoSCoW method. Sounds a bit formal, maybe,
A little bit, yeah.
but it's actually pretty straightforward. Our mission today is basically to unpack it, show you what it is, sure, but really get into why it works so well for bringing focus. You might know some ways to prioritize already, but I think there are some real aha moments here.
Definitely. And the thing about MoSCoW is its simplicity is kind of deceptive.
Mhm.
It looks easy, but it's incredibly powerful. I've seen it make a huge difference everywhere. Tiny startups, busy agencies, even really big companies. It's not just learning an acronym, right? It's more about getting this mindset that helps you dodge common problems like scope creep, just running wild, or stuffing way too many features in. It helps you build intentionally.
Okay, so let's get into it. MoSCoW. It's basically a way to sort things, features, tasks, whatever, into four buckets, four categories.
Uh-huh.
And what's key, I think, is it forces you immediately to drop that idea that everything's equally important. Gives you a lens.
Exactly. It's very intuitive, actually. The real beauty is, well, it's simple to grasp, pretty easy to start using, and it gives you this solid structure for making those tricky calls about what really needs doing right now.
Right. Okay, let's unpack the letters then. MoSCoW. The O's are just there to make it pronounceable, by the way.
Yeah, good point. They don't stand for anything.
So first up, M for must-have. These are your absolute non-negotiables, like the bare minimum for the thing, your product, your project, to even work or do its main job. If you leave out a must-have.
So it basically fails, or at least it fails to meet the core need. And this is where, honestly, a lot of teams trip up right at the start.
How so?
Well, you've got to be pretty ruthless with defining these must-haves. It's so tempting to want everything to be a must, but if you do that, if everything's a must-have,
Then nothing is, right?
exactly, you've completely missed the point. You haven't really dug down to find the absolute foundational pieces. Getting that initial discipline right is super important.
Makes sense. Okay, so after the must-haves, we get S for should-have. So these are still important. They add real value, make things significantly better,
Uh-huh.
but they aren't totally critical for, like, day one.
Yeah.
You could launch or work without them, maybe just for a bit, but you definitely want them in there if you have the time and resources.
Yeah, and the should-haves are often where the, let's say, liveliest debates happen
I can imagine.
because they are valuable. But telling them apart from the must-haves, that takes some honest conversation. It's really about asking, okay, what adds significant extra value versus what's just fundamentally necessary?
Gotcha. Then we land on C for could have. These are your nice-to-haves, the polish, the little delights, the cherry on top kind of features.
Right.
If they're not there, it doesn't really break anything. Usability's fine, performance is fine. They're great candidates for, later updates if you get ahead or have extra capacity, but they won't hold up your lunch.
And finally, there's W for won't have. And this one is surprisingly powerful.
Really? It sounds like just stuff you're not doing.
Well, yes, but it's more deliberate than that. It's not just a bin for bad ideas. It's where you explicitly decide not to focus on certain things in this specific cycle. Saying, this is a won't have for now, brings amazing clarity.
Oh, okay.
It manages everyone's expectations, stakeholders, the team, and it's your best defense against that scope creep we mentioned, the thing that just slowly balloons, projects. It's basically saying, no, not right now, so you can focus your energy on the musts and shoulds.
Okay, I see how that's useful. So knowing the categories is one thing, but applying it,
Yeah.
that's where it gets interesting, right?
That's where the rubber meets the road, yeah.
Let's walk through how you'd actually do this, like 4 practical steps. We found this great example. Imagine you're building a personal budgeting app. That seems relatable.
Perfect example.
Okay, so step 1. Create a list of features or tasks. Simple enough, right? Just brainstorm everything. Get it all down. Ideas from users, what competitors are doing, business goals, team ideas, everything.
Uh-huh. No filtering yet.
Exactly. So for our budgeting app, the raw list might have like tracking budgets, syncing with bank accounts, login, maybe social media sharing, dark mode, some game-like features, and of course security, encryption, all that.
And Don't underestimate this first step. It seems basic, but getting everything out in the open is key. Stops those, oh, but what about interruptions later on? It's your starting point.
Totally. Okay, so you have your big list. Step 2, categorize each item. Now, you go through that list piece by piece and assign each thing to one of the MoSCoW categories. So for our budgeting app,
Right. Let's apply.
must-haves. Okay, definitely budget tracking itself. Syncing with bank accounts, kind of pointless without that.
Okay.
Login, obviously. And security, data encryption. Non-negotiable for trust. Right?
Absolutely essential. The core function.
Then should-haves. Maybe that social media integration. Or perhaps a basic dashboard showing spending trends. They make it much better and more engaging, but the app works without them at first.
Yeah, they add significant value, but aren't blockers for launch.
Okay, could-haves. This is where things like dark mode go, or maybe personalized avatars for users. Fun, nice touches, adds polish, but not core value.
Nice to haves, exactly.
And finally, won't-haves, for now. Maybe those gamification ideas.
Right.
Or like an AI financial advisor built in, cryptocurrency tracking. Great ideas, maybe for version 2 or 3, but we explicitly park them for now to stay focused.
And it's usually in this step, the categorizing, where teams really start to hash things out and gain clarity. You often see people trying to argue their pet could have into a must-have. But having the MoSCoW framework gives you a neutral ground for that discussion, forces everyone to justify why something is a must versus just wanting it.
Right. It channels the debate constructively. Okay, so what's next? Step 3. Assign scores for prioritization. This adds another layer, doesn't it?
It can, yeah. It adds some structure, especially if you have a lot of items or need to justify things clearly. A common way is weighted scores. Like must-have gets 100 points, should-have gets 50, could-have maybe 25, and won't-have gets 0. Then you can sort of tally things up.
Oh, okay.
Gives you a more, let's say, data-backed way to look at your backlog and explain your priorities, especially to people outside the core team, like stakeholders.
So it helps quantify the decisions a bit. Makes sense.
Exactly. Moves away from just gut feeling or, who shouts loudest. It adds that layer of objectivity.
Okay, and the final step? Step 4. Revisit and update priorities regularly. This isn't a one-and-done thing.
Absolutely not. That's critical. Things change, right? Business goals shift, customer feedback comes in, the market evolves.
So that won't have from today.
Might become next quarter's top must-have because something fundamental changed. So smart teams build in reviews. Maybe after every sprint, or definitely during quarterly planning, or after a major product review. You look at your MoSCoW list again, and following this whole structured process, these 4 steps, it really helps avoid those common traps, like being stuck unable to decide, or just reacting to the latest fire. You end up building intentionally, adapting with purpose. It saves so much wasted effort down the line.
Okay, so that really clarifies the how. Let's circle back to the why. Why do so many teams actually rely on MoSCoW? What are the big wins they see?
Great question. Because understanding the benefits is key to appreciating its value. First off, it just forces clarity, period. You're not making a wish list, you're ranking things. You have to justify why something is a must or should. That cuts through so much fog.
Right, less ambiguity.
Secondly, and this is huge, it aligns teams. Think about those meetings. Engineering wants feature A, sales needs feature B, design is pushing for C. It can be chaos.
Yeah, been there.
MoSCoW gives everyone a shared vocabulary, a common understanding of what critical means for this specific release cycle. Everyone gets on the same page about what matters most and, crucially, why. That reduces conflict massively and speeds things up.
Shared language. I like that.
Thirdly, it's a great defense against feature bloat. By making you explicitly label things as could or won't, it helps teams resist that temptation to just keep adding stuff, making the product overly complex and delaying the launch. It encourages focus.
Building intentionally, like you said earlier.
Exactly. And lastly, it's adaptable. It works if you're a tiny startup trying to get an MVP out the door with, 0 resources.
And it also works for huge established product teams managing massive backlogs. It provides structure, but it's not overly rigid, it scales.
Okay, it really does sound like a practical compass then. So if someone wants to start using this or maybe use it better, what are some pro tips, things to keep in mind?
Good question. A few things definitely help maximize its power. First, get the right people involved and get them involved early. Product managers, engineers, designers, sure, but also think about customer support, maybe sales, get those different perspectives. It builds understanding and buy-in.
Makes sense. Avoid surprises later.
For sure. Second, and sorry to sound like a broken record, but it's that important, be absolutely ruthless with those must-haves.
Okay. Point taken.
If you let too many things sneak into that must category, the whole system kind of falls apart. It's about identifying the true non-negotiable core.
Right. What else?
Third, don't feel like MoSCoW has to be the only tool you use. Sometimes you might have, say, a dozen should-haves, and you need to sort those out. That's when you might bring in another framework, maybe like RICE or ICE scoring, just for that specific category. MoSCoW gives you the big buckets. Other tools can help you sort within them if needed.
Okay. Use it flexibly.
Exactly. And finally, pay attention to those won't-haves. Don't just file them away and forget them. They're not necessarily bad ideas. They can actually spark really useful conversations about future strategy. And explicitly calling them out helps manage expectations, especially with stakeholders. A clear "not now" is better than a vague "maybe later."
That's a really good point. It signals a conscious decision. Okay, so wrapping this up, it seems like the MoSCoW method, even though it looks simple on the surface, is actually a really potent tool if you apply it thoughtfully.
It really is.
It brings that focus, helps you move faster, gets everyone aligned, and honestly, it just gives you permission to say no sometimes, doesn't it? To say no to the distractions.
That's a huge part of it. At the end of the day, it's not really about getting everything done. That's usually impossible anyway. It's about doing the right things first. Making sure your most critical goals are met and your energy is focused where it counts the most. I'd really encourage anyone listening to think about how this framework could apply to their own challenges, work, or even personal stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Thinking about your own projects, your work, maybe even your personal goals. What's one must-have that you've perhaps let slip or gotten distracted from? Or maybe even more powerful, what's one won't have for now that you could confidently put aside today? Just consciously decide, not right now, to free up that crucial energy and focus for what truly matters most. Giving yourself that permission, that can be pretty freeing, right? If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share it, with others who might benefit too. To learn more about product management and digital marketing, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.